be aware of the limits of communication. Communication is important. It's undervalued. Governments are not using it as strategically as they could. However, there are certain limits to communication, and I want to tell you what I mean. On the next slide, you may know this from your local supermarket. You have come to learn that it's good to buy locally, regionally. Maybe you also prefer to buy organic food. And then you go to your supermarket and you find, well, the local stuff is wrapped in plastic, and the one that's important from far abroad comes without plastic, or what is good for the environment is more costly or more difficult to find. So you run into lots of conflicts and difficulties by doing what you've just learned. So acting consciously too often means paying more, having more trouble, taking difficult decisions. This obviously is not the win-win situation we want to see. And this is something where communication can actually even increase the cognitive dissonance I have just described, because people may like it when you're telling them buy locally, but the problem then is if there is no local produce to buy, then your communication runs into a dark and deep hole. The next slide is a similar situation. Acting consciously means taking climate action, but it can also lead to a situation where people like these two cyclists feel they're acting all on their own. And as we are social beings, we like to stick to what other people are doing. This is not something we feel terribly comfortable with. So if you are telling people to do something which is running counter the social norm of what big majorities of people are doing on a day-to-day basis, this is difficult because people know that what they should do and what others are doing are in conflict. And you have learned earlier that these inner conflicts are something that we want to avoid. So don't tell people to use a bike when their daily observation is that everyone is using a car. The next slide, please, is summing up what I mean by limits of communication. Communication cannot turn a bad product into a quality product. Appeals to do the right thing in an environment that does not reward doing the right thing can actually trigger cognitive dissonance. And as people want to cope with this unpleasant sentiment, their reaction may be resistance, defiance, dismissal, or shifting the blame. So then it's the environmentalists, the green people who are making our lives difficult, who are hypocrites and so forth. That's where the anger against climate activists is coming from. Therefore, climate communication needs to go hand in hand with changing the political framework. I know that's easier said than done, but it's important to keep in mind.